Hi, today we're going to see how to repair a set of wheels that were turned incorrectly. They were too small, and how to retire them with ordinary pipe coupling. And that's what we're doing today. In addition, I want to show something that I just purchased. It was only 17 bucks at Enco, and these are telescoping gauges, and we're going to use those to measure the inside of the rim diameter. So let's go over to the lathe and see what we're doing. Well, here's the rim that's been machined down. I've used some carbide tools, which I find to be really very good at cutting steel. And you need to take pretty big bites with these. They do work very good. Basically, what we've done is we've turned the outside diameter and the inside diameter after chucking it up in the 4-jaw chuck to get it centered. And I'm going to show you another neat tool. So that actually setting the 4-jaw chuck was a very easy operation. Now I wouldn't use these to tighten with, but they can be turned in the same direction back and forth and move the jaws back and forth and center up the work much faster than you can with the given chuck key, which looks like this. This is the this key is very difficult to use because it bangs into the motor on one side. So these are real convenient. They're just made out of scrap pieces of aluminum and some 1/4-inch square steel stock, which fits a little sloppy into the holes. I would like to get the right size stock, but I don't have that right now. But anyway, these are really pretty cool. First thing that we want to do and take very careful measurements of all of the wheels that we have here. And by measuring these with a set of calipers, get the right dimension. I've recorded the size for each wheel, and if we can get that into the picture, we'll be in good shape. There we go. Anyway, these have been measured, and once they're measured, a recording is made of that. Each one of the wheels measured about 1.88, give or take about 2 or 3 thousandths of an inch. They were all pretty close. Now, what we want to do is create a shrink fit of this rim onto the wheel. So we're going to turn this down to a slightly smaller inside size. And here's one wheel that has been shrunk. One of the rims have been shrunk on, and you can see this is shrunk right on. And what I did, I just heated that with the torch, get it up to, you know, close to like a blue heat. It was just enough so that the tire was just slightly bigger than the rim and fit on here, and now it's on here really tight. You cannot move that at all. It will not move. It's captured in there pretty good. Now, in order to measure, we use one of these telescoping devices for measuring the inside diameter. So with my hands in the way, measure that. Once you get it in there, you kind of wiggle it around, and then you tighten this end screw. And now, if you do it right, which you didn't do it right, get it tight enough, get it in there, wiggle it around, get it straight, get it nice and tight. And now, this dimension can be measured with a caliper, and what we're shooting for is about something that's about 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch smaller than the outside of the rim, so that when the tire is heated, it expands and will shrink around the rim. That's what we're doing. Next process we're going to do is we're going to cut off this rim, and you have to make sure the cutoff tool is perfectly aligned and going in and out, and right now it's not. So we're going to loosen this so that it does go in the right position. Now, generally I'm pretty good at just doing this by eye, but we really had something important. There's a pretty thin piece of material that's left here that we're going to be cutting into, so it's not too bad if it's not exactly dead on. Get this over into this position. I don't know if you can see that or not, but here we'll take another view of that. Not much room to move in here. Anyway, there's the cutoff tool. About ready to do the cutoff. Let's see if we can position this camera in a position so that you can see some of the cutoff going on there. Alright, cutting off this big chunk of metal here is interesting in the sense that you have to use a back here to slow the lathe down to almost a very slow speed. So we'll get it into back here and turn it on. We'll have to live through the noise. You can see it's turning very slow. Use some cutting fluid. The remnant there is the rest of the pipe fitting that will be used for something else. I'm not sure what right now, but once the threads are removed, it's a pretty thin wall on the outside, so I'm not sure what we'll do with it. But anyway, that's the process of cutting off one of the rims. So there is the rim and the wheel, the hub, that will be put inside there. And this rim was made from a pipe fitting just like this. So after some very careful measurements, and each one is fit to the rim, so they're each one will be a little different, but hopefully the outside of the wheels when they're made will all be very close, within a few thousandths of an inch to being correct. So there you have it, making the rim. Now we'll show the shrink wrapping process. Okay, hopefully I'll not be in the way when this is being done, but we now have the wheel mounted on a mandrel so I can position it, and we have the blowtorch. We're going to light it. rim to maybe just about blue color. This doesn't take very long at all. Any luck at all, this worked. This should just slip right in there. And did to some degree, but not enough. So just knock that in with the hammer a little bit more. That's probably all I'm going to be able to do with that one. And that one didn't turn out as good as the other one. I didn't get it to seat all the way in there. Darn it. Well, there's no way to take this apart except to probably just cut it off and make another one. So long for now, and see you next time. Hi. Yeah, this is a new day, and we're going to see just how well we do with the second attempt at doing the rim. Basically, I'm going to also show in part of this video the boring out of this piece of cast iron, and hopefully show the rim going on a little bit better this time. So there'll be a little bit more information on the second part of this video, and I have to say we have had some success, so that's it. See you at the workbench.
Why didn't my sunflowers live?
This ability to...
Here we are. Cutting. Use the auto feed and the clock, the dial indicator. We're going to get to the final depth of the bore, taking off 0.010 of an inch on each pass. It gets really close to the end. And we have to go 0.1 inches this whole depth, so we're halfway there now. Get a little bit of a zoom in on this. Not sure you can see much of anything. You can see the clock moving on this one. Okay, we're going to try this again. The last take died, and this time we've got the wheel was in the freezer for a while, and now we're going to heat this back up to a little hotter this time. We're just going to let it sit here and heat really good. Once it starts to turn blue, we know we're probably close. I may try to get a little further and get it into a straw color today. Because yesterday I tried doing this and the rim didn't fit. It actually got halfway on and I had to cut it off. This time we're going to heat it a lot hotter. And heat the bricks around it. A little bit more heat thrown up at it. I think we're getting the rim to be almost a red color, starting to turn an orange color. So this may be good. And here is the piece. Hopefully we don't have too much water spattering from this. Yeah, it fit perfect that time. Between the rim being refrigerated and the wheel being heated just a little hotter, I think we've got it made. Now we'll let that cool and then we'll see how that turns out. Hi, well, we're all done with the wheels, and at this point I have machined all the threads on the wheels with the flanges, a 3-degree taper. They all measure 1.990 to 1.993, which is pretty good. They were all machined on this mandrel, and thanks to Adam, this little section of this mandrel is what they call a true spot. So whenever I put this in the 4-jaw chuck, I always use this as the reference, and everything else will come right into being centered directly on. If you remember, we had one failure on the second go around on one of the rims. I cut it off and I was able to repair that cut off rim. I brazed it, and you probably can't see this, but there's a brazing mark on here, and remachined the rim, and then shrink wrapped it onto the wheel itself, and it seems to work just fine. It's still on there really tight, and it works just great. So now I'm going to show these tools that I made for the 4-jaw chuck. There was one other item I wanted to mention before I forget. The thickness of the rims when they were first turned from this piece of pipe fitting were extra wide, a good 1/16 of an inch wider than the wheels really needed to be. So that when we inserted the wheel into the rim when it was hot to shrink it around there, I wanted to make sure, even if I couldn't get it perfectly straight, both ways, that I would still have enough material to take off the front and the back of the wheel, skimming the outside edge as well, to get everything trued up to the wheel. So that was another little aspect I didn't mention in the earlier part of the video, but I wanted everybody to be aware that I purposely made the rim thicker than the wheel so that it could be machined right to the thickness of the wheel, and that worked pretty good. It was a little awkward to show, but basically turning the two tools same direction. If you notice, moves the jaws to the right or to the left, and this makes it a lot easier to do the initial setting, get it within a few thousandths, and then you're still going to need this chuck key to tighten the jaw and do the final fine-tuning to get it dead on. That concludes this video. Hope it works for everybody. See you next time.